Gun control. It's more about control than guns. The Constitution of the United States of America states, "A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." Not only is it a right, but it's a right that isn't even supposed to be infringed upon. Besides the advantage of being armed, which the Americans possess over the people of almost every other nation, the existence of a subordinate government, to which the people are attached and by which the militia officers are appointed, forms a barrier against the enterprises of ambition, more insurmountable than any which a simple government of any form can admit of gun control limits crimes. Nelson Lund said that. He was a professor at George Mason University School of Law, and it was believed by the founding fathers and as recent of presidents as Ronald Reagan that man is not free unless government is limited. Gun control laws don't work. In 1976, Washington, D.C. implemented a law that banned citizens from owning guns, and only police officers were allowed to carry them. And when that happened, the annual homicides rate rose from 188 in 1976 to 364 in 1988, and then increased even further to 454 in 1993. It was so bad that even the Supreme Court would later step in the District of Columbia versus Heller and end that ban on guns. As the number of guns per person has increased, gun violence has actually declined. This is according to the Center for Disease Control, which found that gun ownership increased by 56%, and yet gun violence declined by almost 50% between 93 and 2003. So if the premise of gun control was correct, then wouldn't gun violence have increased during that period of time? Citizens have the right to defend themselves and their family and property. Criminals don't follow the law, so what's the point of having gun control laws? Thus the classic slogan, "When guns are outlawed, only outlaws will have guns." It isn't only wordplay, it's a fundamental insight into the folly of gun prohibition. Much like the prohibition of alcohol brought up the mafia, the same thing would happen with the underground gun market, were we to ban guns. And as these illustrations do a good job at describing, the experts agree that gun control works, only said by Hitler, Castro, Kim Jong-un, Pol Pot, some of these guys we should know. And then this little quote of making guns illegal will take them off the streets. Let's make drugs illegal too. Pretty insightful in that drugs have been illegal and they're very easy to get and all over the place. And then just the idea that the government would never turn against a citizen. This is a Japanese internment camp, but there's lots of other examples in history where it is proven that when government has too much people or too much power, it usually starts to persecute its people. This quote by Sam Harris, "Clearly one of the great tasks of civilization is to create cultural mechanisms that protect us from the moment-to-moment failures of our ethical institutions. We must build our better selves into our laws, tax codes, and institutions. We must build a structure that reflects and forces our deeper understanding of human well-beings." No one on either side of the gun control issue is unaware of the intenseness of the tragedies that have came apart by the use of wicked people who used guns as a tool to carry out their wickedness. The problem is wicked people will always find a way to carry out those acts regardless, even from the very beginning. Cain and Abel was done with a rock, the first murder. So people who have a strong desire to do evil things will find a way. What guns do is even the odds a little bit and allow for people that would naturally be more vulnerable to protect themselves against people that might have a desire to take away their freedom or their property.